Bubonic plague, Black Death. The bubonic plague, also referred to as the Black Death, is the most prevalent type of plague caused by the bite of an infected flea. If you were a medieval peasant in Europe, you would have a 2 out of 3 chance of being among the 200 million people killed by this disease. A pesky rat would settle on your straw mattress, and within a week, you'd become the latest victim of the Black Death, suffering from extremely agonizing symptoms such as high fever, painfully swollen lymph nodes, and intense fatigue. Without antibiotics, more than 70% of people who contracted the bubonic plague died from it. It decimated entire villages and spread so rapidly that there weren't enough survivors to bury the deceased. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a serious infectious disease primarily affecting the lungs. It is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is transmitted through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Picture this. It's 1890, and you develop a terrible cough that persists for weeks, worsening over time, with chest pains, starting you to cough up blood, experiencing intense fatigue, a high fever, and night sweats. As the illness progresses, it would gradually destroy your lungs from the inside out. Upon your death, when the doctor examined your body to find the cause, he would discover your lungs resembling Swiss cheese, riddled with hollow cavities created by the bacteria. Without a 6-month treatment plan involving multiple side effects, anyone contracting this disease had a 60% chance of dying. Ebola. The Ebola virus, known for its high lethality and frightening symptoms, has earned its grim reputation through severe manifestations, including bleeding from multiple body organs. This virus attacks both the immune and vascular systems, causing extensive damage. Initially, sufferers experience symptoms such as fever, exhaustion, muscle aches, and severe headaches before progressing to critical stages. For example, in 2014, an individual, after unknowingly consuming contaminated meat, reportedly experienced hemorrhagic fever, a characteristic symptom of Ebola, the next day, resulting in bleeding from areas such as eyes, nose, and gums. This happens because the virus devastates blood vessels. In a desperate attempt to fight the virus, the brain unleashes a storm of cytokines, similar to destroying a hornet's nest with a nuclear explosion. With these gruesome symptoms, the mortality rate of Ebola is 90%, meaning there is a 9 in 10 chance of dying. Leprosy. Leprosy, triggered by the bacterium Mycobacterium leprae, commonly initiates with pale or reddish patches on the skin, devoid of sensation. If untreated, it can lead to significant nerve impairment, skin sores, muscle debilitation, and paralysis. Gradually, digits and nasal tissue may degenerate, resulting in permanent disfigurement. However, contrary to widespread belief, leprosy spreads solely through prolonged intimate contact with an untreated individual and lacks high contagiousness. Historically, leprosy sufferers face societal ostracism, consigned to colonies with other afflicted individuals due to widespread fear of contagion. Malaria. Malaria presents a grave ailment induced by a parasite transmitted through the bite of infected mosquitoes. Upon transmission, the parasite journeys to the liver, where it undergoes multiplication before infiltrating and decimating red blood cells. Symptoms typically manifest within 5 to 10 days post-bite. The potency of malaria in infiltrating and annihilating red blood cells poses a challenge to scientists who struggle to devise a method to eliminate them without causing widespread harm. Additionally, malaria may induce anemia, convulsions, and cognitive disarray due to the extensive destruction of red blood cells by the proliferating malaria parasites contained within. Without intervention, the parasite's presence escalates in the bloodstream, exacerbating complications as it persistently assaults and undermines any organ it encounters. Anthrax. Anthrax, a bacterial disease induced by the spore-forming microbe Bacillus anthracis, has the potential to be used as a biological weapon. Suppose you want to embark on a path of biological terrorism. For only $9,000, you will have access to the anthrax spore genome, laboratory equipment, and materials needed to manufacture your own biological weapon within the confines of your home. Inhalational anthrax is the most dangerous manifestation, as it typically originates from inhalation of the spores and causes profound respiratory distress. The infection spreads rapidly throughout the pulmonary and circulatory systems. As the body defends itself, sending its white blood cells to phagocytose the invaders evolve to thrive within these cells. As in the Alien movie, the spores break out of the confines of the white blood cells and perpetuate a cycle of devastation, using cellular resources as sustenance until death. In addition, the spores remain dormant, ready to capture future hosts for years to come. Fortunately, most of the cases reported so far are related to animal exposure. Polio, though not a subject of levity, can be approached with a touch of humor. Envision your physique as a fortress encircled by a moat, safeguarded by valiant knights symbolizing your immune system. Polio plays the role of a cunning general laying siege to your stronghold. This viral assailant possesses the ability to navigate the moat and breach the castle walls, your immune defenses, ushering in a lifetime of irreversible afflictions. Its primary targets are children below the age of 5, rendering them susceptible to enduring paralysis that defies remedy. Upon infiltrating the body, the virus proliferates within the intestines, launching an assault on the nervous system that culminates in paralysis. Nevertheless, the advent of vaccines has markedly curtailed instances of polio across the globe. Tetanus. Tetanus is a fearsome bacterial infection that severely affects anyone who ventures near a rusty playground. Tetanus bacteria are often found in soil, dust, and animal waste, and the infection enters the body through wounds or lacerations. Imagine puncturing your skin on a rusty nail while playing in the park, unaware of the unwanted intruder it harbors. Once introduced into the body, the bacterium unleashes a potent toxin that attacks the nervous system and induces muscle stiffness and convulsions, affecting the jaw and neck muscles in particular. As a result, swallowing becomes difficult and earns the nickname lockjaw. The severity of tetanus cannot be overstated. If left untreated, it turns into a life-threatening ordeal, culminating in the relentless immobilization of every muscle, with excruciating pain for hours on end. Cholera, a bacterial infection known for its rapid onset of intense diarrhea and dehydration, poses a serious threat, often culminating in a life-threatening state or death within a period of as little as 24 hours if not addressed quickly. It usually lurks in contaminated water tanks or food stores, especially in places plagued by poor sanitation and poor hygiene protocols. When contaminated food or liquids are ingested, the bacteria unleash a potent toxin in the intestines, causing watery, profuse diarrhea, vomiting, and excruciating leg cramps. This relentless onslaught quickly leads to profound dehydration, which makes even copious fluid intake ineffective against the relentless onslaught, as the bacterial toxins make the stomach unable to retain any food without causing severe vomiting. Mad cow disease. Mad cow disease represents a special case of an animal disease that can be transmitted to humans through the consumption of meat. Imagine a quiet pasture where placid cows graze until one of them begins to exhibit erratic behavior, as if it has lost its mind. If we compare a normal brain cell to a finely tuned mechanism, with tiny protein components working harmoniously to keep the brain functioning properly, imagine a deformed component disrupting this delicate balance. A prion. Unlike the other components, this evil prion disrupts the mechanism, causing widespread dysfunction similar to the rupture of a prion-infected brain cell. In cows affected by mad cow disease, this malfunction affects numerous brain cells, resulting in spongy lesions and cognitive decline. As a result, affected cows may stumble, behave strangely, or even become aggressive. What is disturbing is the contagious nature of this abnormal component problem. If meat from an infected cow is consumed, the prion can infiltrate the human brain, initiating a similar alteration in brain function. Humans can then contract variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD, the human manifestation of mad cow disease. CJD, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, CJD, is a baffling and complex brain disorder. Think of your brain as a detailed jigsaw puzzle where each piece has a distinct role and place. CJD, however, is like an intrusive piece that doesn't fit yet disrupts the entire picture. This disease is caused by misfolded proteins known as prions. These prions act like troublemakers at a well-organized party, creating chaos and confusion. They cause other proteins in the brain to misfold, triggering a chain reaction of neurological havoc. As the disease progresses, it erases parts of the puzzle. Symptoms such as memory loss, cognitive decline, muscle spasms, and personality changes blur the once clear picture. The puzzle becomes increasingly chaotic until communication and movement are completely lost. Unlike a solvable puzzle, there is no solution for CJD. It is a rare and devastating condition with no known cure, leaving healthcare professionals and researchers perplexed by its complexity and impact on the brain. Brain-eating amoeba, Naegleria fowleri, commonly known as the brain-eating amoeba, is a microscopic organism that inhabits warm freshwater environments like lakes, rivers, and hot springs. Picture yourself enjoying a swim in warm natural water on a hot summer day. Usually, it's a pleasant experience, but sometimes, under the right conditions, Naegleria fowleri can enter your nose. Once inside, it travels along the olfactory nerve and can cause a devastating brain infection. The presence of this amoeba in the brain leads to symptoms such as intense headaches, fever, nausea, and a stiff neck, reminiscent of a science fiction horror story. Tragically, the disease progresses rapidly and is almost always fatal, with an exceedingly low survival rate. Familial fatal insomnia, FI. Familial fatal insomnia is arguably the embodiment of a waking nightmare. Sufferers gradually lose their ability to sleep, and as they do, their mental and physical states deteriorate in a way reminiscent of a terrifying thriller. This extremely rare genetic disorder is caused by a mutation in one's genes. The nightmare starts with worsening insomnia, culminating in a complete and irreversible inability to sleep. As sleep deprivation worsens, patients endure hallucinations, delirium, and severe psychiatric symptoms, evoking a surreal horror tale. Ultimately, FFI causes a total collapse of bodily functions, ending in death. Kuru. Kuru is a fatal brain disease that leads to neurological decline, but with a disturbing twist, cannibalism. Resulting from the consumption of the brains and nervous tissues of deceased relatives during their mortuary feasts, Kuru evokes a trembling fear, as reflected in its name. Affected individuals suffer from muscle tremors, loss of coordination, and an alarming lack of motor control. The final stages of Kuru led to a state of profound debilitation and death, often within a year of the onset of symptoms. This sad reality is another reason added to the already long list of reasons why eating people is a horrible idea. Rabies. Rabies, a disease caused by a virus, induces a state of aggression and frenzy in both animals and humans, making it one of the deadliest diseases globally. In this disturbing tale, the rabies virus spreads through the bite of an infected animal, infiltrating the nervous system and causing madness and terror. The human symptoms that appear resemble scenes from a chilling thriller. Hydrophobia, intense hallucinations, and convulsive spasms are among the terrifying manifestations. Even more alarming is the fact that 98% of rabies cases end in tragic death shortly after the onset of symptoms, and fatality is almost inevitable once the symptoms appear.